Hello learners, welcome to Triaright. Today we'll be learning about the building simple client server apps. In this chapter we'll be learning about the understanding. We will understand the architecture of client server communication. The architecture of client server communication. Now we will use ServerSocket and Socket classes to build TCP based apps. And similarly we'll read the send how to send and receive messages using input and output streams. And finally we'll implementing a simple command line chat app using sockets. Line introduction to the client server architecture. Here what is this client servers model? The client that request service. The client is the one who requests services like the browser, and the servers that provide services. The browser, there are services that are provided. So server is the provider. Servers, the provider, service provider provide the servers provide services. Example, the web servers. So example, the web servers, they will always provide us with services. So communication protocol. Coming to the communication protocol, we have the TCP, that is transmission control protocol, that is transmission control protocol, that is reliable and ordered communication, that is reliable, and the ordered communication, that is reliable and they transfer the ordered communications. Java supports TCP through socket and server socket. Okay. Java always support transmission control protocol using socket and server sockets. Now coming to the core classes in Java networking, we have the server socket, which listens to the incoming connections, which always listens to the incoming connections, and socket is that connects to a server or client. It will connect this socket will connect to the server. It connects to the servers to the socket or client. And likewise we have input and output streams for reading and writing data. Likewise we have input and output stream for reading and writing data. Now step by step building a simple eco servers. Now we are building a simple eco servers. Like this, we will import these packages, import java.io.star and import java.net.star here. For that we have a class eco server. We have a class here as eco server, which has the public static void main string args as the main method line, which shows IO exception, which shows input output exceptions. And further we have a server socket. We have a socket with the new server socket 1234. Here it initializes the server socket. Here it initializes the server socket to listen on the port number on the listen. This will initialize the socket. This will initialize the server socket. This will initialize the server socket to listen on the port number server socket 1234. Server socket 1234. And similarly, it will print an out message line like server started and waiting for the client. Server has started and it's waiting for a client. After that, we have a socket. It accepts server socket. This will accept all the things from all the apps from the server socket, all the messages, apps, and lines from the files from the server socket. And now it says that the client is connected. It will connect all the client to the server socket. It accepts and connects the client to the server socket, and finally the clients are connected. And there is a next line that is printing which client is connected. Now coming here, buffer reader line in. This is a variable that is of. This is a variable that is in of a buffer reader type. And this new buffer reader, here a new stream input is formed from the socket get input stream. When the socket is having connected to the get input stream, a new input stream reader is found. And this print writer out, this out of the type print writer have the new print writer of the socket get out connections until and unless the socket get output stream is true. Until and unless the socket output stream, this out will be receiving an object. Also this out will be receiving an object. And here there is a field string line while this line in dot read line is not null. In dot read line is receiving any character or line in character or line. This system.out println client, this message plus the line, that line will be printed. This message plus this line will be printed. And and out.println will out.println here echo plus line will be commanded out. Next will come in form, yeah. If line dot equals ignore case, if the line here, that here where method equal ignores case, equal you will be ignoring equal ignore case by until there is until there is by form. In this by comes in by the until the line is not interrupt comes with this in connections with this line, and when it comes in this connection this when connection with this by when it comes in connection with this by, this will be break, this will break from here, the kind of flow of execution will break from here, and the termination of the program will take place. And finally we need to close the socket here, we'll closing the socket, and server socket also, server socket dot close and socket dot close also. Finally we'll moving on to the next, we have the create clients. Create the client. We have to create the client. We will import them for packages from the java.import, java.io.star, and similarly we will import java.io.import java.net.star. Now we have the class eco client, which has public static void main string args, which shows IO exception, which has public static void main string args as the main method line, and which shows IO exceptions. Here the socket, this new socket is receiving all the it is receiving all the commands from the server line. It listens to the port number 1234 as a local host. It listens to this port number and its local host. This buffer reader keyboard, this is object of this buffer reader, and new buffer reader, new input stream reader, which is a new input system, that input stream reader, and that is having input from the system.in, that is having the input from the system of by the buffer reader keyboard, by buffer reader keyboard equals new buffer reader, in parentheses will be again new input stream reader system.in, yeah, by this form. And file writer out, this is an object of the type file writer out, having the new file writer, that is file writer, that is having socket.get in output stream. Here until and unless that's output stream socket socket is having in connections with the get output stream is going to be true. Until and unless it is going to be true, this will have out will receive an object. This output will receive an object, and buffer reader.in, buffer reader here the variable in, here the variable in of buffer reader type will have new input stream reader socket.get input stream reader. Until and unless the socket.get stream reader socket.get input stream reader is having connections with it, having in connection with buffer reader, yeah. Or only until and unless the file there will be a reader in this, and object is until and unless there will be a reader, this in will be continuously receiving an object, yeah. So this is string input. Now there is a field string input while input while this input is not equal to, while this line is not intervened by this by condition, until and unless there is a by condition, uh, this body part, while is not intervened with this while until and unless there is this by conditions coming in the line, there will be an input which will be printed out as out.println input out. This input will be printed out as system, and this places will be printed server plus in.readline. This line will be printed, and this in.readline, this line will be also coming in connection with it. Now when we have started this socket, we are going to close that. We will be closing the socket, and now coming further, we have to finally we knew that these are all the connections and ports that were intervened in it, and server listens to on the port, and we got to know that how server listens to the port 1234, and client and how client connects to the server at location 1234. We have seen that in our previous example only, and both use input and output stream to exchange text. We have used this input and output stream to exchange text messages from each other, and loop ends with by. This also we saw it right now only. in the above example. Now coming to the end, we have the optional, making it multi-client type. Yeah, to support multiple listeners. To we have the making it multi-client. We have to making it multi-client to support multiple clients. To support multiple clients, we have to use thread on the server side. We have to use the thread. We have to use thread on the server side. Yeah, and each thread handles one client. Each thread will handle this each thread will handle one client. Now suppose we have a class client handler, client handler, which extends the thread, which will extend the thread, the supermost class of all the thread, and which has a field, a private socket, client socket, private socket, client socket. Of this client socket type is of socket type. Yeah. Now this public clients handler, this public class handler which have parameter handler, client handler. This is a constructor, or the class handler, or the parameter socket. This socket is of socket type. Yeah. Now, and this constructor will initialize the client socket with the socket, which will be providing as a parameter, which will be providing in the parameter. So coming further, we have the void run. This is the running method, which is this is the method running, and this has the body part as handle individual client. It will handle all the individual client. Now, for coming after this, we have the best practices. We have the best practices, and we should try with resources. Use try with resources to manage our socket. We have to use try with the resources to manage the sockets. We have to handle exceptions. We have to handle various exceptions like input output exceptions, and unknown host exception. We have to handle these exceptions. Always close the streams and sockets. We have to always close the streams and sockets because we always start them, so we need to close them, and we have to use appropriate ports. We have to use appropriate ports and avoid hard coding. We have to use appropriate ports like ports for respective things. We have to use this. We have to use respective ports and appropriate ports, and we have to avoid hard coding. Means we have to make our coding very much simpler so that one could get very much easily to the required concept. Now, coming on to the end of this chapter, we have learned that start server. We have learned the concept of start server, which has the classes and methods as new sockets, new socket method, and the port, and it will receive it will receive always listen to the port number. It will listen to the port. Yeah, and client and connection connect client. The connect client, it has new it is a new socket, which has a class new socket, and parameters are host and port. Now coming on to read and write concept, read and write data concept. We have the buffer reader. We have the buffer reader and print writer. These are the methods which we have seen there: buffer reader and print writer. And coming on to the read and write data and connections, we have also seen the socket dot close. We have seen the socket dot close. Now coming to the end of the class, we wind up this class. We'll meet in the next class. Thanks.